Guinness, which I don't actually like, but because I was in Ireland, I can't say it without saying it in a bit of an accent.
What?
Ireland. I can't do it. I don't know.
It's a good accent.
Ireland. Whenever you're ready.
3, 2, 1. My name's Dean. I am from Dublin, Ireland. I've lived in London for 3 years now, and the reason I chose London was because at the tail end of COVID, I was kind of a bit finished with Australia at that point.
Hold up. So you were in Australia before you moved to London?
Correct.
Ah, okay.
Well, I was there for one that turned into 2 years. So I'd been traveling for a little bit before that. Did some backpacking around Asia and Africa. It was great. And then when I was at the end of that, I was just like, okay, I've got some friends in Melbourne. Why not? And it was only meant to be a year, but by the dates I'm going to tell you, you might put this together. It was 2019 August when I got there.
Right.
Something happened 6 months later, 7 months later. And I ended up staying for 2 years because the pandemic was just crazy out there. And if you've ever spoken to people in Australia, they need a visa. You need a visa to stay there if you're a foreigner.
Yeah, you need a working holiday visa or something.
Correct.
3 months, something.
Yes,
Yeah.
but you can get it for 1 year.
Okay.
And then anything after that, you either have to do two things. One of them is farm work. So you literally work on a farm for like 3 months and you
Yeah.
pick, my friends actually picked berries.
My sister picked carrots.
Right. I really didn't want to do it, but
Right.
apparently it's a good experience, but
Yeah.
I didn't want to do it. And then the second option is you can get sponsored. And so I was sponsored by a company and I just wasn't loving it. And if I was to leave the company, then I would leave the sponsorship. And I was kind of just like itching for something different. And a friend of mine just kind of pitched London to me and I was like, do you know what? Fuck it.
It's a lot nearer.
Sorry, I've done
Oh
that.
no, you can swear. You're not supposed to swear, but you can swear.
Okay.
You can swear on Graham Norton. You can swear. on here.
I'll try to refrain.
I don't think you can if you're Irish. I feel like that's part of the
Might be.
Irish lingo. So it's interesting that you moved all the way to what was Melbourne, and then only then did you realise that London was a sort of option because London is comparatively closer to Dublin. Did you want to move further out?
One thing I say about Melbourne is that if it was where London is, I would never have left. Lifestyle-wise, it's like London summer. You know the way London summer is just vibing and everyone's in a good space and everyone's going out and they weren't like that's what Melbourne is most of the time. The majority of the year is that. And then it gets cold a little bit, colder than you'd expect as well, actually.
Yeah, I've been to Australia a few times and there are places that are really hot, like Cairns, Queensland up there, the sort of rainforest and stuff. But other areas, Sydney, I've not been to Melbourne, but Sydney as well, it was
Sydney
quite
gets chillier,
cold.
but I think it's an hour flight away from Melbourne, so it's like enough of a temperature difference to notice it, whereas Melbourne, yeah, it gets a little bit colder.
Not what you would expect for down under.
Yeah.
You'd think it would be down in the tropics.
Yeah, I was not expecting to wear a jacket there, but...
There you go. Lululemon's apparently everywhere as well. People in Lululemon. That's
Everyone's
just
shredded.
Shredded. And so you had to leave.
Yeah, I was
You felt like
sorry.
you felt like you didn't.
I wasn't lean enough, so I had to get out of there.
And so you felt you were lean enough to come to London.
I was like, they'll accept me over there.
Welcome. When did you arrive?
So that was September 2021.
Okay, a belated welcome.
Thank you.
And where did you move to when you got to London?
Straight to Hackney.
Straight to Hackney. By word of mouth, you found out that Hackney was it, or you
Yeah.
really?
So my best buddy and I, we were on the phone and I was in Melbourne and I was like kind of just saying like, can I just not feeling this anymore and COVID's a bit intense over here. As I said a moment ago, he pitched London to me. He was like, man, I just spent 6 weeks in London. I got the fuck out of Ireland. I was like, all right, really? Yeah? You went to London? And then it just progressed. And in the space of a week, I just booked a flight to come here. And now I'm here.
I hear.
He had spent his time in Hackney. So he was the one who was like on Team East. And I was like, okay.
But no tubes. Like, that's my bugbear.
Well, we have our Overground.
That's not.
2 of them.
That's not good enough for me. I don't know. There's just something about waiting in the winter for 20 minutes for an Overground that I don't condone myself. You can slide into a tube and then you can go the wrong way, leave, and then another one comes in
So
in a
it's the
minute.
frequency of the tube that you like.
It's the frequency of the tubes.
Not the fact that it's underground. The fact if it's under or overground isn't really relevant.
If it's underground, you don't wait in the awful weather.
But what about summer?
Oh, that's fine. I mean, I'll take the I'll take the bus in the summer. I mean, it's just the waiting around in the cold. I'm not about that. If you don't have to, why would you?
No.
So Dublin is actually, to me, because I've been to Dublin, I thought it was pretty similar to London.
Did you?
Yes, I thought it felt like a sort of just extra leg. I was like, this could be a sort of different park in London or a different
Do you mean
area of
visually
London.
it looked the same?
The buildings were slightly different and things like that, but I felt like it was pretty
Yeah.
similar vibes. You don't seem to agree based off of what I just said.
Well, no, it does. Like it is an extended arm of London, like at a glance. Interestingly enough, the architecture of Dublin or Ireland in general, for some reason, they don't allow you to build over a certain height.
No shards then?
No.
Okay.
No. So if you actually go
shards.
around Dublin, you'll notice, I think it's only like 4 or 5 stories. I can't remember exactly what the...
Okay.
So there's no skyscrapers or anything.
Right, I didn't realise. What would you say are the most, like, niche differences? Having lived in London, Melbourne and Dublin, what people might not realise are kind of differences?
Aesthetically, Australia is very different because it was a planned build. Melbourne specifically, it's like grid.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
like that. In the same way that America is.
Right, okay.
I'd never seen that before. So you literally go like this to get to somewhere, and you can figure out your way by just figuring it out like that. Whereas here, everything's just, these roads were built 1,000 years ago.
Yeah.
So visually, Melbourne is very different in that way. I think culturally, we share so much, Irish, English, and Australian. I think the differences, the nuances are maybe in, it's kind of hard to pinpoint that, to be honest.
I remember people in Dublin were so friendly. Like,
Yeah.
almost, not in a fake way. Like, people would start talking to you, help you out, and then they'd go. It wasn't a
Yeah, they
sort of
weren't
like, oh, I
looking for
don't...
anything.
Yeah, like, they
Yeah.
weren't looking for anything, exactly. There wasn't a sort of preemptive thing. That was what I noticed about Dublin. I've not been to Melbourne, but Australia as well. I noticed the people were a lot nicer than
Yeah.
Londoners.
Well, here's the thing, right? You've got London, and then you've got the rest of the UK.
Yes.
And I don't think London is indicative at all of the rest of the UK. So, for example, like I was up in Yorkshire recently, and those types of people are exactly what I would picture of everyone in Ireland.
I see.
Friendly and just would be happy to speak to you. I think maybe that's just a product of big cities, big multicultural cities where there's just nobody's really from there. Like, who the fuck is actually from London?
Just me. I'm the only one left, I think. I'm the only one left.
Yeah, you're a dying breed, let's be real here.
Breed.
And so I think cities in that sense can be somewhat more cold and maybe lonely for some people. And whereas there's more of an element of like community in the sticks, I think.
The sticks. Have you ever felt lonely first moving to a different area?
No,
Really? That's interesting.
no. I've always had very good friends.
You've always had a sort of base to go to sort of before going to live somewhere.
Yes.
Oh, that's
Yes. And I've never struggled to like make friends. I guess you could call me an extrovert in that sense. But I feel like I have introverted qualities as well, so I don't know. But I've never really struggled to connect with people in that sense. And I've always had friends wherever I went.
I was going to say backpedal it just because it's a cool word, but it has nothing to do with what I
Circle
was about to...
back.
Let's circle back to food.
Yeah.
I know that the UK has a bit of a bad rep for its food. What do you think of the food in this country?
What food are you referring to? Because...
Just any of the food that you've tried here.
Well, you've got the overseas food, but it's Indian, but it's made here, and that's incredible. People coming over, whereas English food itself, there's about 3 things I can count on my hand, like a Scotch egg, a roast.
Do fish and chips.
Oh, fish and chips.
Fish and chips. Have you tried fish and chips by a seaside compared to London fish and chips?
No.
Have you ever heard of Weston-super-Mare?
No? What's that?
It sounds so like random. It's like 20-minute drive from Bristol. I went to Bristol Uni, so that was the seaside, sort of nearer there. I had fish and chips there, and it was really good. Mm-hmm. But then in London as well, I think like there's a fish and chip shop. I'm gonna have to look this up afterwards. Oldest fish and chip shop in London, and they actually like were so good, even though they weren't by a seaside. So
Were the chips like a little bit soggy from the vinegar?
I don't have vinegar on my fish. Is that what you do?
Well, in Ireland we have chippers, we call them in Ireland.
Not chippies.
Not chippy, no, slightly different,
Chippers.
slightly different word, but I think it's the same thing. And when we used to go to chippers, what they put on is just like an absurd amount of salt and vinegar on these, like, but it's the same type of thick chips, you know them?
Without asking you first.
No, they would request if
Okay.
you wanted it or not,
Okay.
and you'd give them permission.
Oh no, I was never a vinegar on my chips kind of gal. I was always about ketchup. Irish food though.
Forget about it. Like this, like
Is there nothing like how in Scotland you have like haggis and
yeah, like I don't
Anything
know,
to
maybe
do
like
with
a
the word
stew
Scotch?
or some shit like
oh
that.
yes.
Like, I mean, stew seems to me like a pretty universal dish. You know, it's just kind of like a broth with some potatoes, veg, and meat. I mean, they have that everywhere, right? But
I had a fish stew. It was like a fish chowder stew, which was apparently an Irish thing, but also Guinness pie. But oh yeah,
true,
Guinness.
yeah.
Guinness.
I'll probably get butchered for saying we don't have Irish food, like things like that, you know. But
Guinness, which I don't actually like, but because I was in Ireland, I can't say it without saying it in a bit of an accent.
What?
Ireland. I can't do it. I don't know.
It's a good accent.
Ireland. It's because this is a weird, when I was in Argentina, there was a lot of Irish people there
Really?
from the University of Limerick. And so
Right.
I picked up the accent a little bit talking to them.
Yeah, well, Limerick, the way I sound and the way someone from Limerick would sound would actually be quite different. I don't know if you'd pick up on it though, but they have a strong accent.
They, almost like, a lot of them were from Cork as well.
Again, probably the strongest accent.
It was almost like whenever they said anything, it was kind of a bit more sing-songy at the end of a sentence, a bit higher up. Can you do it? Can you do the accent?
Cork.
Very good, very good. That's all you can say.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way of putting it though, that they sing. I
They
like
do.
that.
It's a sing-songy accent. I mean, Irish, the accent in general is a bit more, because it's rhotic, you pronounce the R's. I mean, you do in certain areas of this country, not in my accent, but I think it makes it a bit more jolly and nicer to listen to than like my accent. Why the BBC back in the day had people like me talking all the time on TV, I don't know.
They could have got some of us.
Could have got some Irish people on there, you know? I don't know.
It's a great luxury. I've often said this to people, is that as an Irish person, especially when you're overseas, when you go and you're in a bar and you open your mouth, like no one's ever annoyed to meet an Irish person. And I just get like a free pass just because everyone else from Ireland's like really nice. And then someone's like, oh, you're Irish. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, nobody ever goes, oh, you're Irish.
Nobody.
Unless it's behind your back, you know.
True.
Being British, I feel like a lot of them go like,
You guys don't get that luxury at all. You actually get the opposite.
Yeah.
My girlfriend absolutely hates it. She's like, you always get such a good reception.
Oh, is she this accent?
She's from Kent.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is basically like standard Southern, isn't it? Unless
Yeah,
she's got
exactly, yeah.
When you first moved to London, what was your first impression?
Oh, I remember being quite taken aback by small things, actually, by the way the road signs looked. I was like, oh my God, it's so different to Melbourne. Genuinely, that was the shit. This is probably because my brain was melted from COVID. I was like, oh my God, look at the buses, look at the signs, look at the streets are different, you know? And then I also was like, oh shit, nobody's wearing masks.
They were all wearing masks in Melbourne. Okay.
Yeah. Outside as well, you couldn't walk on the street without a mask. It was
By
like-
the third lockdown, nobody really cared anymore.
Well, you see, in Melbourne, you were getting stuck with a $1,500 fine, like that.
Yeah.
And so naturally, you don't want to spend that just for not wearing a mask, so you'd wear it. And when I got here, I was like, oh, right. No one's wearing masks.
Can actually
Great.
see people's faces. That was the thing. I remember being on the tube and like going, I wonder what they actually look like, because you could only see their eyes. That was always like a little guessing game I would sort of play with myself.
Yeah, you're just staring at people, yeah. You're just one of those.
Yeah. People watching is a big thing here. I remember in Dublin, actually, this is so niche.
Yeah.
The post boxes, that I don't know who uses them, they're all green over there.
Yes.
They're all red over here. That's interesting. I wonder why they did that.
Maybe it was a way to demonstrate that we are the green colour and England is the red colour. Who knows?
Who knows?
But, I mean, that would probably make sense, actually. Because in like back in the day, you know, like especially around like 100 years ago, Ireland and England had like a bit of a coming together.
Oh.
And so I think it's not really like a thing anymore though, but like back in like my parents' day, like I think there was a bit more of like a negative sentiment towards England. Now nobody gives a shit, you know, now everyone's just like whatever. Everything's trying to be green, I guess.
And it is a very green place, but then so's... I keep using London and the UK interchangeably, I think just because I feel like London is its own entity.
I agree.
Yes, you do agree.
Yeah.
Where have you been around the UK?
I just spent a week in the Peak District. That was amazing.
Yeah?
Rented a van and just went up. That was
Wow.
cool.
How long does that take to get to from here?
4 hours maybe?
Jesus.
Something like that. Been to Brighton, been to Bristol. Yeah, it's a good spot.
The West Country?
Yeah.
Where they all sound like pirates?
Yeah.
A little bit?
Yeah. I think I was in Manchester when I was a kid. That's
Liverpool's good if you've ever been.
it. Yeah. Have you been to Newcastle?
No, but I
Heard Newcastle's
really
great.
want to go.
Yeah.
What would you say is good about Newcastle? Because I just like the name, and therefore...
I remember back in the day, everyone used to go there because they served cheap Jaeger bombs.
That's a brilliant thing to... Yes, let's do that. Let's go for the Jaeger bombs.
Yeah.
And also people apparently dress up a lot differently to
Really?
go out, is what I've heard about Newcastle.
Right.
Like short dresses, heels, which is just not a thing in London anymore, I don't think. Especially for me,
Yeah.
I would never do that.
Yeah, it's not it really, is it? It's not the
Yes.
London.
You wouldn't do that? Okay. And you've got this unique trajectory, I suppose, of if you going from... This is the way I see it. It's like Ireland, Australia, back to that way. An interesting triangle of a trajectory there. What would you say you could take out of one of those or all of those to put into London to make it a more ideal place to live?
Clear skies.
Clear skies.
Yeah, yeah. Melbourne's weather is kind of annoying as well sometimes. You know, it's like everyone says that they get 4 seasons in a day, but Melbourne actually does. It's crazy. But the temperature and the skies are a lot nicer. And I think if London was sunny like it is now, it's what, like the 9th of March? And it's like kind of hot. If this was like this the whole time, I think it would be hard to beat. And actually, beach. Throw a beach in London.
Sky and beach. They do have like a weird part of London that's kind of, I think it's not a real beach, but it's like it leads into the Thames. It's like a weird, I don't know what it is. Do you know what it is? I don't know what it is. I don't know where to find it, but there's a little beach.
I think I know what you're talking about. Is that at, like Greenwich?
Maybe.
I think I know what you're talking about.
That's not really a beach though, is it?
No.
You can't really go for a walk on that beach. You'd be basically,
No.
it'd be like it's like 10 steps back and forth.
Yeah.
So a real sandy beach, do you reckon?
Do you like rocky beaches?
No. You can't really walk on a rocky beach with no shoes on. I quite like it for like if you've got a sort of back issue, you're sort of rolling around on the pebbles. That's
Yeah,
the
but
only...
then you've sacrificed a beautiful sandy beach just to get your back taken care of.
It's a free massage. When I was growing up in London, actually, I didn't realise that the UK had beaches. Like I was like, oh, other countries have beaches and palm trees, and that's what people go away on holiday for. But then I didn't realise that places like Cornwall and areas closer, even in Kent, had sandy beaches.
Yeah.
Yeah, lovely stuff.
Beautiful, yeah. Cornwall's amazing.
Cornwall doesn't feel like the UK.
No.
Like it feels like a different country.
If you Google Cornwall, like the pictures look like it's the Philippines. The water, and it's like crazy.
It's just a cheaper version, I feel like. Yeah, that's fantastic. Do you think you're going to stay in London?
Yes. I don't see myself going back to Dublin, permanently, that is. I have a business now that I have, and that's in London, so I think I'll always have like a connection to London. The way I'm seeing it now is that I want to be away for winter, mostly. So sort of using London as a base to come and go from, spend the majority of my time here, especially in summer, and then just duck the winter.
It's not uncommon, people do say that. Winter in this country is not great.
It's pretty depressing.
Pretty depressing. Seasonal depression is real.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, and then when you see the sun, it comes out and you're like, oh my God. Like,
oh my God, I don't need to take my vitamin D tablets anymore.
yeah.
But do you think East will be the base for the foreseeable?
Yeah, I love it there. I mean, it's nice distance from Central. It's got everything I need. It's got parks. My friends are there.
Just the one, no? Victoria?
Yeah, you've got like London Fields, smaller parks as well.
Oh,
Victoria's
yes.
like...
Is the big one.
Yeah, but like smaller green.
No tubes though. That'll always be my argument.
I'll make a few calls.
Is that what you could do? Do you work for the...
I work for TfL.
Do you?
No.
Oh, right. Never mind. So this has been Sam and...
Dean
Who?
is going to build a tube in East London.
For me?
For you, so you can move down.
I feel like you should get on that soon because it takes a while for tubes to be built, and I've been waiting for 29 years for this to happen, so...
Don't worry, I'm on it.
Okay, fantastic. If you like what you saw, give us a like. If you enjoyed the video and wanted to leave a comment, you can, because they have that.
What would you like them to do?
I would like them to like and comment.
Why?
Why? Because I feel like liking is great, but also commenting on a specific thing about the video is cool.
Gives you feedback as well.
Yeah, like someone did say to me, like, the lighting's all wrong.
Yeah.
It's a bit dark.
Don't
you should get that.
Just leave that.
You should get that fixed. I'll see you next time. Bye. Was that, did it turn off whilst we were filming? Or did it?
No, but I did touch it occasionally just to make sure.
Oh, okay.